Why exactly would you bother picking Bruce Banner in Marvel Rivals? Tanks have a lot of jobs in Marvel Rivals. Establishing a front line for your team is no easy task, especially with all the opposition you'll be facing. At any particular moment of you playing any Vanguard, three things are likely happening. People are shooting at you, someone will be trying to take space from you, and a flanker will be diving your precious supports. But luckily for you, tanks are equipped with plentiful tools to handle these issues. Enormous shields to grant you staying power, CC tools to make yourself a threat beyond mere damage, and consistent damage to make sure that your immediate presence on the front line is seriously pressuring. So thank goodness your tank brought your bare hands. Well, to be fair, Hulk brings more to the table than just his burly hands, though they are quite useful. Believe it or not, despite his lacking equipment, this mean green smashing machine fulfills all the jobs of a Vanguard pretty effectively. Hulk's Gamma Shield provides him meaningful staying power when diving, and even an oblique form of utility for peeling. Hulk's CC allows him a greater degree of control over the fight, with creative use increasing the potency of engaging and peeling alike. Hulk's primary fire, being so generous and flexible, sort of enables his frontline presence by making the man himself a sort of damage over time AoE, or dive win condition timer. Plus, his damaging projectile grants him a sort of surprise factor with almost a pseudo-execute function, meaning that, in a utilitarian sense, you can catch your enemies off guard with your DPS. But this isn't why I love Hulk. I'm a big fan of player fantasy, meaning how it feels to play a character. But Hulk dares ask the question, how exactly do you play two characters at once? Especially when one is a form explicitly intended to spend as little time as possible piloting. Well, as the Hulk, you do a lot of exactly what you'd hope to do when you're playing the Hulk. Hulk is a mobile menace, outputting an unrelenting frontline enabled by extreme mobility and damage that needs to be respected. You smash, you jump, and you smash some more. In Overwatch, I was a huge fan of the whole hypermobility paired with brutality playstyle. Naturally, like our goat Zebra, I gravitated towards Hulk. Outside of the player fantasy, Hulk operates as a Vanguard enabled principally by mobility. Your numbers are small, but you can place those numbers exactly where you want them. So why would you voluntarily reduce your damage output as a Vanguard? Your job is to be a spiteful guard, fighting with ferocity for your team. Dealing less damage certainly doesn't do anything to enable you here. Well, you play like Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner is a genius, a scientist at the forefront of his field, spending much more of his time thinking than smashing. Your job, as the Bruce Banner character fantasy, is to tactically place your big green bomb exactly where you want him, like a commander. How exactly do I overcome odds here? The front line is dealing serious damage and reducing my capacity to take space. I could never deal enough damage to get any picks to sway this fight. Duelists are usually mobile enough for any attempted dive of mine to be a waste of time. I would likely spend too much time absorbing the full attention of the enemy team's focus fire to succeed. Even if I did, this would be an extremely selfish usage of my support's resources. So, as a genius commander, how do I win? I tactically allocate resources. A lot of tanks do this, and it always looks different. With Hulk, generating pressure is pretty high effort. By harassing the backline and consistently pestering them, I am diverting their attention. Hulk's strengths are showcased when you're being a serious threat across the entire battlefield, contributing pointed and specific amounts of effort in precise locations. If you were to do the unthinkable and peel your backline, you would still only be a hop and a skip away from effectively attacking another enemy. Baiting substantial cooldowns, disrupting the enemy's focus, and taking up as much space in your opponent's minds as possible is what an effective Hulk game sounds like. The best Hulk players find slippery ways to survive after ambitiously diving the enemy healers, but demeching into Baby Bruce makes this survival process just a little bit more realistic and consistent. Other tanks cannot provide that without an extreme commitment, menacingly walking from point A to B. If you make the wrong choice, you just die. As Hulk, I can shift my location and my course of action immediately. This makes tactics enormously stimulating for Hulk players. I can bait out cooldowns to enable my teammates, bait out flankers to dive, only for me to arrive on time and shield my allies, suddenly and unexpectedly dive a support, immediately diverting healing, draw fire and divide the team by spending time immediately in the heat. And the best part of all of this? I can shift between all of these strategies with each passing second. And to be frank, as Hulk, you need to.
If you've ever seen a Hulk look like he's on anything other than a mission, he's not being decisive enough. One punch on one person is fun and all, but psychological damage doesn't show up on the scoreboard. Let's say, hypothetically, you're diving a squishy enemy. One punch, a measly 45 damage, isn't enough to seriously alter their playmaking, especially if they see or hear you jump away. But if you get 3 punches in on a squishy character, you have suddenly placed kill pressure upon them with the same impunity a ranged character could. They have to do something, and they have to do it now. What if you're about to commit to a few more punches and a gamma burst? What if they turn around to retaliate only for you to shield their retaliation? As the Hulk, your power budget is so flexible that you have a great many more abilities in your hero's toolbox than you initially realize. You attack one strategist and exile the other one, you've effectively inflicted anti-heal upon the enemy team. Your diver is coming dangerously close to Mantis, Sleep, or Luna Freeze. Jump in there and face tank it. You've effectively cleansed your diving ally, not even to mention shield usage. From CC on flyers to invulnerability while transforming between your forms, your hero is much more capable and varied than you might initially realize. So, the question still stands. Why Hulk? Why not be an immovable object like the Thing? If you're going to dive so frequently, why not play Venom and circumvent all these thinking processes in the first place? Well, the answer is that this is a video game, and you should do whatever's fun to you. If you enjoy diving in and missing every one of your Venom shots, I wish you good luck on your grind to Lord. But the second answer is versatility, options, coverage. Hulk's kit is the very definition of versatility, the very definition of generalist over specialist. Exiling someone has a myriad of uses, defensive and offensive. If you like high APM stimulation without necessarily spending 15 hours in the practice range to perfect your aim, Hulk is your guy. If you're caffeinated out and looking to press 15,000 buttons on your path to victory, Hulk is your guy. Of course, most of all, if you like to smash, Hulk is your guy. Why do I love Hulk? I love Hulk because he tickles the part of my brain that loves to play Hearthstone and the part of my brain that loves to play Donkey Kong Bonanza. Ceaseless violence is fun, even more so when you're doing it for a tactically reasonable reason.